Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel, everybody. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Starting just a few minutes late. Much going on here. Much going on in the world. And before I get into all the news of the day, I want to talk a little bit about a phone call I got from Sandy Sunshine. Because that's the most important thing that happened. Well, some other stuff happened too, but it's the most important thing that happened related to this broadcast. She was talking to me about the before times and specifically a book that I read that it brought back memories for me. And it really, it resonated with me. I read the book when I was, I'd have to be like 7 or 8 years old. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the broadcast because it just, I don't know, this when she calls, she just brings so much unexpected wisdom with her. I'll share it with you later. After I tell you about Canada's true existential threat, ramping up the rhetoric to destroy the country and Greenland and beyond. Oh, and those ostriches, the farm, negligent. A fine, $10,000 fine upheld. That's the truth. And old man Winter baring his fangs tonight. Around here, all through this region, this part of North America, which consists of a border, 2 countries, the United States and Canada. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity. The Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Brightleaf Innovations, proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea, an exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
Well, I'll show you. It's getting weird and dangerous. Start over on this CTV headline. Canada and the U.S. sent aircraft to Greenland base for pre-planned training amid Trump's takeover threats. Hard to know who your friends are. That's tonight. What's the date? January 19th, 2026. The new normal. North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD aircraft will soon arrive at a U.S. military base in Greenland for long-planned activities. Announcement from NORAD, a joint U.S.-Canada military organization for aerospace monitoring and defense, came amid rising tensions over U.S. President Donald Trump's demand for U.S. control of the autonomous Danish territory. The statement did not describe the nature of the planned activities, which it said were aimed at defense cooperation. Well, I sure hope that continues. And I sure hope Canada doesn't assist in the takeover of Greenland, even if some crazy deal has been made to save Canadian sovereignty by participating in the violation of someone else's. Just wondering aloud. Somebody else speaking out loud. Sloppy Steve Bannon. Remember, do you remember Donald Trump making up that name for him? Bannon serving in the first Trump administration, then sort of being, well, then there was a rift and he got kicked out, but he remained loyal to Trump and went to jail for a while. Remains a Trump loyalist. Apparently, he's a Canada 51st stater as well. Or at least, I should say, to be more accurate, he says Alberta is the linchpin. He says Alberta is getting out of the Canadian Union. He says they're going to become an independent state and we're going to recognize them and put them on the pathway to become the 51st U.S. state. Normalizing the idea. See, while Trump gets on nicey-nicey these days, as nicey-nicey as he can be, and he plays sort of the strange diplomat, Bannon's saying all the quiet stuff out loud over at the War Room.
What President Trump's argument to Canada is, and they've just kind of blew it off, but when he talks about defense, what he's making the point on the Arctic is that Canada is kind of like Ukraine, right? The Chinese and the Russians are up there, and they see the undefended northern territories of Canada. They're going to take a bite. The Canadians got to understand something.
They already are.
They're going to intrude in your territory, and they're going to dare you to do anything about it, and you're going to turn to Big Brother. Go ahead.
We're getting Alberta is the linchpin. So when Trump says Canada is going to be the 51st state, he's speaking, he's vamping, he's having a little fun. But what he's really saying, because I know a lot of the guys in charge of the Albertan Separatist movement or their prosperity movement, Alberta, they've already met twice now with the State Department. The Albertans are ready to vote in the next 6 months. They're getting out of the Canadian Union. They're going to become an independent state, independent country. We're going to recognize them, and that's going to put them on the pathway to becoming the 51st state. And here's why that's important. Alberta has a bevy of untapped rare earth minerals. They have the world's largest geothermal energy sources. They have some of the world's largest natural gas and oil deposits. So when Trump says Canada is becoming the 51st state, he's really talking about Alberta, and that's important because that's that's a gateway to the Arctic. Greenland is another gateway to the Arctic. So when we talk about hemispheric defense, we're not just talking about Latin America.
Yep.
We're talking about the polar
Yep.
regions too, Steve, and how they all link
Yep.
together.
Told you so. Told you so. Can't believe some people think it's still a joke. Oh. And who's the enemy? Who's your friend? It's becoming increasingly difficult to figure it out. Is Russia the enemy? Wait a minute. Ukraine? Europe? Wait a minute. The UK? The UK? Oh, is right? Yeah, because 1776. So the UK enemy, and Putin is backing up Trump and the quest for Greenland. Look, I'm not making it up. As he is so good at, he's gone way back in history to find some sort of pretext or justification for the takeover of another country. In this case, though, he's not doing the taking over. He's basically supporting Trump, saying that the United States has wanted to take over Greenland for a long time. And I guess that must just justify it. But wait a minute. Trump said that he has to take over Greenland so that China or Russia can't take it over. But Putin is saying basically that Trump should be allowed to take it over because, duh! Here's the clip. It's true.
О планах Соединенных Штатов Америки по присоединению
I'll read it.
о планах
About the United
Соединенных
States
Штатов Америки
plans
по
to
присоединению
annex Greenland.
Гренландии. Но, знаете, это
But
только на
it's
первый
it's only at first glance
взгляд
that this
может
might
кого-то
surprise someone and lead them to mistakenly believe that these are just some extravagant talk from the new American administration.
Ничего подобного.
Nothing of the sort.
На самом деле,
In fact,
такие планы у Соединенных Штатов Америки
The United
проявились
States
еще
had
в
such plans
60-е годы
as early as the
19
1860s.
века. Уже тогда
Even then, the
американская
American administration was
администрация
considering
рассматривала
the
возможность
possibility of
аннексии
annexing
Гренландии и
Greenland and
Исландии.
Iceland.
Но эта
The
идея
idea did
не
not
получила
receive
тогда
the support
поддержку Конгресса.
of Congress at the time.
Кстати, напомню,
Incidentally, I would like
что
to remind you
1868 году
that by 1868,
в американских
American
газетах
newspapers were ridiculing the purchase
покупку
of Alaska.
Она называлась
It was called
безумием,
madness,
ледяным
an
ящиком
icebox,
и
and a garden of polar bears
белых медведей
by Andrew Johnson,
Джонсона,
then
тогдашнего
president
президента
of the United
Соединенных
States.
Штатов. Поэтому
Therefore, the
предложение по
proposal
Гренландии
on
провалилось.
Greenland failed.
Но сегодня это
This
приобретение,
acquisition,
я имею в
I
виду
mean the
приобретение
acquisition
Аляски,
of Alaska, is certainly viewed very
наверняка
differently
оценивается в
in the
самих
United
Соединенных
States
Штатах совсем иначе.
itself,
Так же, как и
as are the
деятельность
actions
президента
of President
Эндрю
Andrew
Джонсона.
Johnson. Therefore,
Поэтому ничего
there is
удивительного
nothing
в том,
surprising
что происходит
about what is
сегодня.
happening today,
Нету. Тем более,
especially
что
since
эта
this
история
story
началась только
only
тогда.
began then
Она
and
продолжалась и
continued
дальше.
further in
В
1910.
1910
For
году,
example,
например,
a
была
trilateral
подготовлена
deal was
трехсторонняя
prepared
сделка по
to
обмену
exchange
территориями
territories between the
между США,
U.S.,
Германией и
Germany,
Данией.
and Denmark.
В результате
As a result,
Гренландия отошла
Greenland
бы
would have gone
Соединенным
to the United
Штатам,
States.
но
But the deal
сделка сорвалась
at the
тогда.
time,
Во время Второй
during
мировой
World War
войны
II,
США
the
разместили
U.S.
в
set up military
Гренландии
bases in
военные
Greenland to protect
базы
it
для защиты
from being taken over
от захвата
by the
нацистами.
Nazis.
А после
After the
окончания
war,
войны Штаты
the U.S.
предложили
offered
Дании выкупить
to
эти
buy these
острова.
islands from Denmark, which is pretty recent in terms of world history.
Словом, речь идет
In
о
short, the U.S.
серьезных
has
планах
serious plans for
с
Greenland.
американской стороны в отношении Гренландии. Эти планы
These
имеют
plans have long-standing
давние, как я
historical
только
roots,
что
as I have
сказал,
just shown,
исторические
and
корни.
it is
И
clear that the
очевидно, что
U.S.
США будут и
will
дальше
continue to
на системной
systemically
основе продвигать свои
promote its
геостратегические,
geostrategic,
военно-политические
military,
и
political, and
экономические
economic
интересы в
interests
Арктике.
in the Arctic.
О план-
Yeah, I think he's in on it. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Told you so. Why? Because they're carving the world up into 3 spheres of dominance. I've been telling you. It's the New World Order. Carney mentions it. People's heads blow up. These guys are doing it, and people support it. The same people. It's happening in front of your very eyes. I don't think it's too late. Dog treats. You may have noticed it was empty. I still find joy in the small things. We need to. Thank you for the dog treats. Oh, this is not a formal newscast, as you may have noticed, because everything's freaking falling apart. Yeah. I missed the before time, Sandy, just like you. Just like all the misfits here. I used to like Steve Bannon, kind of. Seemed like a free market kind of conservative-y kind of guy, but I didn't really know him. I don't really like him that much tonight. He's meddling, sticking his nose in. You know? Bunch of people have been. And it's been going on for a long time. Had another phone call last night. I'm getting a lot of phone calls from contacts, sources. Yeah, I have those things. It's true because I am a journalist, contrary to some opinions. And I learned some things last night from a source on the inside that I found very disturbing. Things I didn't know like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, but I know now, and I don't like it. This stuff's been going on for a long time. The meddling, it's been going on for a very long time. This plan has been unfolding for a long time, and the plan was concocted a long time ago. So Putin's right about one thing. This is nothing new. We're just seeing it now. It's coming to a crescendo. Greenland. My God. And you know what the thing is? None of this is necessary. None of it. All the pretexts, all the excuses, all the reasons are, to quote a good friend of the channel's, it's all bull. Shit. Except I think maybe he's on that side without even realizing it. Not cool, man. Look, go to Twitter. You can see it. Mainstream media not really touching on it. I mean, mainstream media is acknowledging this, but I don't think anybody is still people not quite cluing in to how serious this stuff is and how fast it's happening. Take a look. Here's Eric Daughtry on Twitter. Just look. What does he write? Breaking: panicked over President Trump. Denmark just surged a large amount of their troops to defend Greenland. LMFAO. Denmark's military spending is a rounding error for the U.S. You're not defending it from China or Russia. And all in caps, which is shouting, with an exclamation point, it will be America's. Is that freedom? To mock this, to laugh at this, to dismiss what Denmark is doing here?
Yes, jagt.
Trying to defend
Velkommen til.
their sovereignty. And do you know what sovereignty is? It's culture. It's economics. It's preference of systems. It is about individuality. It's about the right to exist as a nation state, separate, different, as a different entity in your own way, without being absorbed by the Borg, to be assimilated, to conform, be forced to conform, bend the knee. What's going on here is not democracy. Isn't that what we thought we fought for in World Wars I and II? And isn't that what we were told the Freedom Convoy was about? Isn't that what we were told our countries were based on, was foundationally an expression of, a preservation of freedom? And in order to have freedom, you have to give the power to the people, which is democracy. This isn't democracy. Are they giving the people of Greenland really, truly a choice? Or some fake vote being permitted by a president who talks about rigging things? And when I'm looking at him, I mean, he he talks about the elections being rigged, and yet when I'm looking over here, what do I see going on? I see him rigging everything, especially the economy and cashing in. Blatantly, like you can prove it. You can see it. This guy rigs things. Everything. Oh, he's in control, man. Him and the people around him, they have the power. Unitary executive power. Power of the Sharpie. That's not democracy either. He's just done an end round around Congress. God help us. What will happen with the Supreme Court ruling on tariffs? Will the courts be able to stand up to him? Will they have the courage to do the right thing and enforce the law in the face of authoritarian dictates from a power-mad, psychotic man in the White House who has lost sight of what America was supposed to be, that shining city on a hill, a beacon of hope to the entire world that is now a true existential threat to the free world. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. He loves his toys, him and Pete Hegseth. It's a grotesque and decadent display of power and excess. This is supposed to be the largest, I guess, attack helicopter military exercise ever, involving something like 150 Apache helicopters. People cheering for this, I think, view it like it's some sort of a fireworks display, but it isn't. It's a prelude to death. Enlist
NATO
now.
has just been hit by one of the most shocking military
Here. Give me some audio.
developments in years, as the United States executes a massive and sudden deployment that has left alliance planners stunned and scrambling. In a move that few saw coming and even fewer were prepared for, approximately 150 AH-64E Apache attack helicopters have been surged into forward positions, signaling a dramatic escalation in American force posture. This is not a routine rotation, not a scheduled exercise, and not symbolic posturing. This is a raw demonstration of military dominance carried out at speed and scale. The sheer size of this deployment immediately set off alarms across NATO command structures. Moving a handful of attack helicopters is normal. Moving dozens is notable. Moving 150 at once is something else entirely. This kind of concentration of air power is rarely seen outside of full-scale war planning, and it instantly changes the strategic equation for any region where these aircraft are positioned. NATO commanders were forced into rapid coordination calls, not because they oppose American power, but because a move of this magnitude demands immediate reassessment of airspace control, command authority, and escalation risk. The AH-64E Apache is not just another helicopter added to a force roster. It is one of the most lethal battlefield systems ever produced. Designed specifically to hunt tanks, destroy armored columns, and dominate ground forces, the Apache combines Hellfire missiles, a devastating 30mm chain gun, advanced targeting radar, and network-centric battlefield integration. In combat scenarios, a single Apache unit can paralyze enemy movement. At the scale now being deployed, these helicopters are capable of reshaping an entire theater of operations within hours. Defense analysts emphasize that what makes this deployment especially significant is how fast it was executed. Aircraft were repositioned, logistics hubs activated, maintenance crews surged forward, and command structures aligned in what insiders describe as a compressed force projection event. In practical terms, the United States demonstrated that it can mass overwhelming attack helicopter power faster than most militaries can even understand what is happening. This was not improvisation, it was a rehearsed capability put into action. For NATO, the shock was not about fear, but about reality. 150 Apaches represent a level of firepower that no ground force can ignore. Armored formations become exposed. Supply lines become vulnerable. Maneuver options collapse. Any adversary facing this concentration of attack helicopters is not planning advances or offensives, it is planning survival.
Enough. It's kind of clickbait, that video. It's also propagandistic. Cool. So cool, man. Look at those choppers. Where's the Scud stud? Oh, but there's more. From Visioner. They write, PBS News reports that the U.S. National Security Council has delivered the following message to European ambassadors in Washington. Considering that your country has decided not to award me the Nobel Peace Prize for stopping more than 8 wars, this is Trump, I no longer feel obligated to think only about peace, although it will always be a priority. But now I can think about what is good and right for the United States of America. Denmark cannot defend this land from Russia or China. And in general, why do they have ownership rights? There are no written documents. It only happens because a ship arrived 300 years ago, but our ships also arrived there. I have done more for NATO than anyone else since its founding. And now NATO must do something for the United States of America. The world will not be safe until we have full and absolute control over Greenland. Thank you. what the hell? Seriously, like, what the hell? Nigel Farage saying Trump's Greenland threats are very hurtful. There's a guy, who's been supportive of Trump. Let's play the clip. See what this guy says.
Donald Trump is bluffing when he talks about a tariff for nations such as the UK. And Mr. Rosendale, can I ask you, have any Conservative MPs since your defection reached out and are seeking your counsel on potentially doing the same?
Whether Trump's bluffing or not is always difficult to tell. But to use economic threats against the country that's been considered to be your closest ally for over 100 years is not the kind of thing we would expect. It's wrong. It's bad. It would be very, very hurtful to us. Now, I think we're in a position where we can negotiate. We're not tied. We're not tied by European Union trade rules. That does give us an advantage in these negotiations. But I would just say this. I'm all for Trump taking out enemies of the West. Maduro, the Iranian regime. But if he falls out with his own allies and leaves America isolated, that would be a very bad place to be. So I'm worried about it. I'm concerned about it. I've always been a supporter of the president since way before he got elected first time. But I will be having some words with the American administration in Davos on Wednesday on this issue. It's wrong.
Yeah, that whole New World Order thing, not really quite what people were expecting, right? Especially the, whatever you want to call them. The Q people, the conspiracy theorists, whatever. Not working out quite the way you thought, eh? Or me. Till a few years ago, when I started to read some things and find some things out. Yeah. And I've been telling everybody it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Scared yet? Yeah. What a strange country the United States is. Look. It's kind of twisted. Really. It's all like a show. And, since Trump has become president, he has turned the United States, or at least the tone, the style is so like flea market, circus, trailer park, low brow. Look. Okay, just do a Twitter scroll. It gives you, I think, a good feel for what the United States is today. It's like, that's Canadian. Bannon. You got something about Taylor Swift. And then you got some stripper chick in front of a green screen with some protruding thing, which is, soft porn. Then back to the Apache helicopters. Some woman with a baboon grabbing a tube top, pulling it right off her breasts. Eminem's dramatic descent from the ceiling of the 2009 MTV Awards with his butt sticking up in the air, right on top. That was really good. And then some movie from 1981 with a silhouetted stripper, because you got to give more sex stuff, because, the current administration is pushing traditional values. Oh, and Visioner again saying PBS News is reporting that the U.S. National Security Council has delivered that message that I just told you about. And the surging troops in Denmark. And, oh, there's a thing from Russian news showing the biggest non-nuclear explosion, or one of the biggest ones in modern history. Because what good is a feed down Twitter unless you're blowing crap up? Oh, and then here's Italy's PM Meloni saying, oh, come on, he's just joking. The U.S. is not a threat or an enemy to anyone in the West. Come on. Listen to her.
Mi pare che diciamo il rischio, ecco, sia
worry
quello che
about.
le iniziative di alcuni paesi europei fossero lette in chiave, posso dire, anti-americana.
It's gonna be okay.
Invece non era quella
Trump's not
l'intenzione
gonna
che si
do
aveva.
anything.
Chiaramente gli attori che preoccupano sono per tutti gli altri, no? Però questo
Oh, and this comes from Inevitable West is the name of the account. That's an interesting name. Inevitable West. It's kind of like there's nothing you can do. It's coming. The West is changing. Oh, well, that's kind of like another way of saying New World Order, if you think about it. And don't worry about it. It's not a threat. Just give up. Comply. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara just raised a serious question about the ICE shooting. This for 60 Minutes, confirming what we have all seen for ourselves. It says, I've seen the videos and it's not clear to me why he appears to be in the path of the vehicle more than once. When you approach someone in a vehicle, there are very basic steps you take. Translation, basic procedure wasn't followed and someone ended up dead. ICE is clearly out for blood. So that's one take on it. Whichever side you take, the truth is you have blood in the streets.
I've seen the videos, and it's not clear to me why he appears to be in the path of the vehicle more than once. When you approach someone in a vehicle in a law enforcement encounter, there's very basic steps you take to ensure the officer's safety and to de-escalate the situation.
But the day after the shooting, Vice President J.D. Vance put the blame squarely on Renee Good.
That it's a tragedy of her own making.
Homeland Security officials have accused Good and her wife of, quote, stalking immigration agents and impeding their work.
I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Top federal prosecutors in Minnesota resigned in part, sources told CBS News, because they were told to investigate the actions of Renee Good and her wife rather than Officer Ross.
Shame!
State investigators were blocked.
Oh my God. Who's applauding out there? Who thinks this is cool? Rebel news. Back to Kanakistan. Court of Appeal approves $290 million nuisance suit against the Freedom Convoy. Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms lawyer James Manson joins the Ezra Levant show to discuss the Ontario Court of Appeal rejecting an anti-SLAPP motion filed by the JCCF on behalf of the Freedom Convoy, meaning a $290 million nuisance lawsuit against key figures from the 2022 demonstration will be allowed to go ahead. And there they are. I was thinking, you see these four folks in the Brady Bunch boxes. And I was thinking of actually making a thumbnail tonight. Not of them, but of different politicians to show that they're actually now opposites of what you think they are. It's weird how they kind of flip-flop ideologically, depending on the issues or the current situations of the day. So, for instance, everybody thought Trump was like a conservative, even though he used to be a Democrat, then kind of became an independent, then finally became a Republican, which morphed into MAGA, which is a populist movement, which has further evolved into something where he's kind of okay with people actually calling him a fascist and nobody even flinches. So I don't know what you want to label him. But his economic policies have been described as Marxist. I would say certainly socialistic. In terms of a fascistic socialism, which you would employ in the kind of oligarchical economic tariff-based, centrally planned economic system that he has come up with. So what are we going to label him today? Not a conservative, no. You pick it, but it can be pretty much anything else that you want. Marxist, socialist, fascist, whatever. Populist, MAGAist, MAGA communist, commie. Yeah. Some people are saying that Trump's economic policies are very Marxist because they are. It's all about control, not about the free market. So, okay, so he's going to be a communo-fascist. Then, okay, let's say Ontario Premier. Well, okay, let's backtrack. Mark Carney, right? Accused by Trump of, because he's Canadian, of being a protectionist because Canada has limited tariffs, some tariffs in certain sectors like dairy, but he goes because Trump is the one who has imposed like tariffs massively on everything, not strategically, but on everything, or selectively would be the better word, not strategically, because it's very strategic because he's using them as a weapon. So he's employing this protectionist measure to an extreme, not just on Canada, but on all of the United States trading partners. So he's the protectionist. And now Carney goes to China to do a deal with China, $1 trillion deal, and drops the tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles from 100% to I think it's 6.1. And then the Chinese, who are supposed to be commies and therefore totally about market control, they say, yeah, cool. Since you're dropping that, we'll roll back the tariffs on canola. So they're making a freer, fairer trade deal than anything we're getting out of the U.S. So you've got Carney now, who is kind of, through his economic policies, more of a freer trader, and he is more conservative, even though he's got a big L on his chest. But in terms of his actions, so we have to label him today, anyway, for today, free market conservative. Okay, that's Carney. But then Doug Ford, who has been, he's a conservative party leader, premier in Ontario. He's a conservative, right? No, because he has a lot of conservative approaches to the economy. And if you look at what he's done with the healthcare system, you're seeing more integration of some private interests, private sector stuff, in order to achieve greater efficiencies in the healthcare system in Ontario. You're seeing more of that to a degree. But then he's opposed to what Carney is doing because he says that it will hurt the Ontario auto industry, even though what Trump is doing is potentially going to just devastate the industry in Ontario and hurt it in the United States at the same time. So Ford is against Carney dropping the tariffs against the Chinese EVs. So he's now become a protectionist. which has been somewhat necessary because of the threat from the tariff threat from the United States. So now, okay, he's a protectionist. So we'll have to call him a socialist, a liberal socialist. He's a conservative who is now a liberal socialist. See how it's getting weird? There was a fourth person I was thinking of putting up there too. But we should, I don't know. Who should we pick for the fourth person in the Brady Bunch boxes? Carney, Trump, Doug Ford. Oh, I don't know. Who? They're all kind of flipping and flopping. You could pick just about any politician, I suppose. And they're all kind of flipping and flopping. Putin. He's kind of hard to peg. He's all over the place. It doesn't matter. They're all, you see what the point is? You put those guys in a box and people just apply a label and there's just a knee-jerk reaction to what they're doing. Mark Carney says New World Order. People, oh, see, I told you he's a globalist. But why? Because he used those words? Maybe. But yeah, look at Putin, okay? He flips and flops too. And then Trump, he just announced that he's appointing Putin to the Board of Peace, which also makes no sense. If Russia is truly an adversary of the United States, but you appoint him to the Board of Peace to oversee what's going on in Gaza. Oh, you know who else he is appointed? Mark Carney. Isn't that weird? So now you have this liberal, conservative Prime Minister, Canada, former Bank of Canada governor, who is being targeted by Trump as he tries to make Canada the 51st state and take over all the Alberta oil. But he's friendly enough and trusts Carney enough, I guess, and he's close enough that he puts him on the Board of Peace, which Trump is going to chair. So those three are all on the board while we're potentially facing, I don't know, maybe an invasion of some kind or a non-military takeover of at least one province, if not the whole country, from the United States. Bizarre, isn't it? So is Carney in on that? What does that tell you? Can Carney be trusted? What about the conservatives? Who's really sticking up for Canada? It seems like the liberals are more nationalistic. So Carney's kind of a nationalist. Oh, yeah. I guess you could put Polyev up there in one of those boxes, too. His policies, if you read them, his housing policy is actually more socialistic than Carney's. And his policies as they relate to the 51st state and so on, I don't know, man. It seems like they're less nationalistic, maybe a little more globalist. So Carney's more of a nationalist now, and Polyev, who should have been embracing nationalism during the federal election, had that political space taken from him by Carney. This is why I'm sorry, you guys, but that's why the conservatives lost. Because they didn't know what to do. It was almost like it was foreign to them somehow to actually support the Canadian flag. And they ridiculed the elbows up thing to make it. So they've turned actually being patriotic. They turned being patriotic towards your own country into something of a sin, something to be ridiculed. So if you love Canada, you're, an OG lib is the phrase most recently used here, which is supposed to be some sort of an insult, which translates into, if you support Canada, you suck, you liberal. But what does it really mean on the other side? This is politics today. It's all distorted and twisted and upside down and backwards and inside out. And it's hard to figure out who's who in the zoo and who supports what and what's real. And even as you have a crazed, mad, power weirdo in the White House who's poised to take over every country in the Western Hemisphere, you have the leader of Italy saying, don't worry about it. It's nothing. He's not a threat to anybody. And a bunch of Canuckistanians up here standing like here with like deer in the headlights as they're about to get trampled. Maybe. Then again, maybe something's going on in the background. Maybe we just don't know. We're not hearing about it too much because Canadians are just a little less bombastic than the Merkins.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Somebody just sent a text and suggested Scott Moe for the 4th Brady Bunch box. We'll save that one. Yeah. Another premier from Saskatchewan. We'll save that. But he deserves scrutiny too. So Doug Ford, we were talking about him, the communist, slow, liberal, conservative, whatever he is, Mr. Lockdown Ontario, who has done a few good things for healthcare, which I will acknowledge, but on the other end of the scale, I still don't forgive you for what you did to us during the pandemic, and here he is talking about the EVs. I'm on your side as long as you're doing the right thing, Doug.
But anyways, first of all, thank you for coming out today.
But not if you're not.
I just want to start off with, obviously, the elephant in the room, and that's the deal with China. I think I've expressed the way I feel, that number one, true partnership is communicating with myself or other premiers if it affects their economy, and I feel it's just a terrible deal. It's a terrible deal for the auto workers that aren't in the Brampton plant, aren't in the Oshawa plant, the Ingersoll plant, and we need to build our auto sector here domestically in Ontario, not by foreign governments. They say it's 3%. It's actually, if you look at the EV sales, it's more like 33%. And we've seen this around the world. No matter if it's Germany having to close down 2 Volkswagen plants or Brazil, that they said it started at 3%, now it's 37%. I have concerns. That they're undercutting our hard-working auto workers and uniform members. They pay their people probably $6 an hour over at the auto plants in China with unfair labor practices, as we're upholding proper labor practices and making sure we build the cars with clean green steel. And I just want more communication, as anyone would. This isn't about pitting one province against the other. It's not pitting one sector versus the other. I'm happy as punch for my colleagues out west when it comes to canola oil, or our friends out in the east about the fisheries. God bless them. That's great. But don't use Ontario and the auto workers here as a pond. Everyone got something except Ontario. All we got is a massive threat of Chinese vehicles that are coming here that are going to hurt every single auto sector worker. And there's over 500,000 people within the sector that are going to be hurt over time. So we're going to focus on making sure that we produce great vehicles here. China will never, ever, and this will go on record, open up a manufacturing facility, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. There's to make an assembly plant profitable, you need 200,000 cars manufactured here, and that's 2 shifts going full out, producing a vehicle every minute and a half. And out of that 200,000, they're going to ship 80 to 90% of the cars down to the U.S. And I don't believe that President Trump will accept any vehicles from China being manufactured here. So to say that we're going to bring assembly here from China is just not accurate whatsoever. We have to focus on getting rid of the EV mandate. That's a killer for the sector, and not just keep pushing it down the road, because when they plan investment, they plan 4 or 5 years out where they're going to invest. I'm going to continue working collaboratively with the Prime Minister and all the other premiers. When we get together up in Ottawa, we'll have an honest discussion and find out what we're going to do as a country, as a province, to make sure that our manufacturing, especially in the auto sector, stays strong right across the board. So that's my, that's what I'm saying about the EV sector. I've had an opportunity to speak to the auto sector themselves. They're not happy, to say the least. And we're going to continue working alongside our partners in the auto sectors and especially Unifor. So we're gonna come out of this all right.
Have you spoken with the Prime Minister about this?
No,
So,
he is not texting.
Is there a plan to speak with him? I mean, you've worked closely with him on other initiatives.
Yeah, I look forward to speaking to him. I think he knows how I feel. It's all about communication. It's all about partnership, and we have to move at a much quicker speed. I think they went out of the gate going really well, and then it kind of slowed down now. So,
whoa, Nelly. So remember, this is what I'm saying, these labels, right? Doug Ford runs the ad with Ronald Reagan talking about how tariffs are bad, which was accurate. Using that to complain about the tariffs from the U.S. side. Today, he's in favor of tariffs remaining on China, which are being removed, paving the way for more cheap, very, very inexpensive Chinese electric vehicles to come into the Canadian market, which will benefit consumers because you'll be able to buy an electric vehicle for way less than you would ever believe. Okay. And they are pretty high quality. They're high quality vehicles from companies like BYD. Oh, do you know who has invested in BYD heavily? One of the big owners, Warren Buffett, American. You think these are just Chinese companies or just American companies? No, they're not. They are not. Even over in China, these are multinational companies, have been since like the 1980s. Trump doesn't understand that, or maybe doesn't care. He's trying to nationalize through the use of tariffs auto companies again. He wants the old days back, the big three, GM, Ford, Chrysler. Wants them. Dude, they ain't what they were. And they probably never will be again. Reconstituted they are. Dissolved, not American companies. This ain't the days of Packard, man. Or Nash. Those days are long gone. They're not making Model Ts anymore, dude. 57 Chevys. Great to look at. Truth is, quality kind of sucked. Especially during the 70s. Those cars, especially a lot of the Chryslers, rusted out faster than you could pay them off. Because the steel they used was crap. But even then, you know what? You know why a lot of those Chrysler products from even like the 60s and late 50s, you know why they rusted out? Because of where the steel came from. and the quality of it. That wasn't American steel. It was Japanese. Oh, really? Yeah, that's right. Even then, the auto industry was somewhat globalized, multinationalized. All that American muscle, that gleaming chrome, that rolling Americana was from Japan. But not properly treated steel, and so they rusted to rat crap. That's why some of those cars are so rare today. I know of these things because I have covered so much automotive news, and I've spoken to so many auto restorers, and I know a gentleman personally, a Canadian, a Canuckistanian, an Albertan, who specializes in restoring Chrysler products, Mopars. And I learned all about the Japanese steel from him. Yeah, and no, here's another little tidbit you probably aren't aware of. A lot of those 57 Chevys rolling around out there today, a lot of the American muscle, a lot of it. It's gleaming and it's shiny and it's from China. Yeah, that's right. Those body panels, a lot of that stuff, they're repops from China. Yeah. CAD CAM design, they scan the body panels and then they stamp them out over in China and ship them right here to America. You thought that was an American car at that classic car show? It was once. Now it's reproduced with sheet metal from China. A lot of it. I think almost even most of it out there these days for a lot of that stuff is straight from China because it's so much less expensive. Go buy your car parts at China Tire. Yeah, Canadian Tire, China Tire. Most of the stuff in there is made in China. So, I don't know, reducing those tariffs and bringing those Chinese vehicles here using that Chinese technology and know-how. Maybe this is actually a good thing, Doug, because maybe it's going to open the door to new investment. Maybe it will mean that Ontario will be able to compete on the world market, producing inexpensive electric vehicles or vehicles of some kind, maybe even with gasoline engines to sell down into the United States. But opening the door to this kind of change is absolutely necessary right now, because do you know why you really use tariffs and why Trump is using tariffs on the auto industry? It's because those U.S. auto plants are not competitive. The U.S. auto worker today is not competitive because of a whole range of reasons. The technology being used on the assembly lines down there, the union rules, the environmental rules, it goes on and on and on. So you need to find a way to address all those concerns and yet still remain competitive. AI could be the answer to a lot of that. Assembly lines were at one time the answer to it, to keep America and Canada, America meaning Canada and the United States, dominant in the auto industry for a long time, right up until about, the late 1960s, 1970s. 60s, you started getting Volkswagens coming in, Japanese cars. By the mid-1970s, everything's falling apart. Chrysler has to go cap in hand to governments and on both sides of the border, looking for a bailout. Yeah, times are a-changing. And if you want to survive, tariffs ain't going to help you survive in the long run. Competitiveness will. That's what will ensure it. So suck it up. Roll up your sleeves and get to work, Canadians. The challenge is at hand. The opportunity is there. And it's time to grow a pair. and stand up in a peaceful and productive way to Godzilla.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Doug Ford says the Chinese cars are going to spy on us. See if I can find that clip from that newser. Maybe we'll just go back to the newser and run some of that. If we still have it. Here it is. Let's bring them back up. We'll run a little more from the Doug Ford Chinese car news conference today. Is a scrum with the reporters. And then we're going to show you crazy Britney Spears, who is, I don't know, lost her mind.
Well, let's get back at making sure that we have approvals for our critical minerals, our manufacturing sectors, reducing the burden of taxation, making ourselves the most competitive jurisdiction in the entire world to attract companies from all over the world. We attracted over $28 billion of investment, creating 56,000 jobs last year alone, but it's a competitive market, and we have to cut the red tape and the regulations. Our strengths are many. No matter if it's the manufacturing sector, life science sector, banking sector. Obviously, when I say manufacturing, it goes right across the board, including the auto sector. So we have to make sure we create that environment and conditions for companies to
Premier, what evidence do you have that these Chinese EVs would spy on Ontarians or listen to their phone calls? What are you basing that on?
Well, it's very simple. When the Prime Minister and his team are over there, they use burner phones. You're making a deal with a country with burner phones, and Prime Minister did mention when he got elected that the #1 country for national security threat is China. And we know when you hook up your phone, they're going to be listening. Simple as that. And anyone who doesn't believe that is very, very naive. So we're going to...
Wait a minute, Doug. I think maybe you're a little bit of a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist guy. Paranoia will destroy ya.
By that logic, are you concerned about the Chinese-made phone in your pockets, or your iPhone is made in China? Are you concerned with that?
I'm concerned about cybersecurity and the threat of China. That's what I'm concerned about.
And the CBDCs. No more. Pretty soon he's going to be giving up his debit card and joining our movement.
So we're going to always make sure.
I want our movement. I don't know, the freedom movement, whatever. Like, I don't know. Whose movement is it? Is it my movement? Your movement? Is it a movement? I won't even. Okay, just go back to this guy because he's flip-flopping. 1 minute he's like a bunch of yahoos protesting, and the next minute it's like Chinese cars are spying on us.
Sure that we think twice before we have countries come in here, and we get nothing back. We get absolutely, Ontarians get nothing back but a threat of jobs in the auto sector.
To be clear, it was not the Prime Minister himself didn't speak to you about this deal. Who was it that gave you a few hours notice?
Minister LeBlanc.
Are you surprised that it wasn't the Prime Minister himself who gave you
Yeah, I wouldn't say not surprised. I'm disappointed because we had such a great relationship, and I look forward to continuing a great relationship. But it's all about communication and collaboration and partnership. I keep preaching it. Well, at least I know where I stand now.
Isn't this feel
Sorry,
good
Bill.
for consumers, though? I mean, car prices are exorbitant right now.
At what cost? Auto workers' jobs? No, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe. I'm a free market guy pretty much, right? So if you can't compete, do something else. You don't it's called feather bedding. You don't, if you want an efficient, productive economy, if you want to be able to support your social programs, expand your economy, and actually provide jobs in the long term, then the things you produce, you better produce at a competitive rate, at a competitive price. If what you're producing is not cost effective, then it might just serve your society, your economy, your workers, your consumers better to allow somebody else to produce it. It's called comparative advantage. And if you can provide cars or toasters, I don't care what it is, furniture, a lot of these things that we've produced here for so long, used to produce, are now produced offshore in other countries because they can produce them for less money. Now, if those products are not actually being produced more efficiently in those other countries because there are unfair subsidies, other government interventions that distort the market, and they end up dumping product into your market to just destroy the jobs in order to dominate the market overall, but it's not truly being produced efficiently, then that's where tariffs kind of can be used as a tool to actually force the price of products that are produced through basically cheating to force it up closer to real market value. It's a bit of an economic concept, but bottom line is maybe it's not fair to make consumers pay for products that are 3, 4, 5, 6 times more expensive than they need to be in order to make sure that your friend down the street, your neighbor, has a job at union rates or whatever I don't know. I do know. Somebody just messaging me here now. Yeah, $150,000 for a freaking truck. $150,000 for a truck. Henry Ford didn't invent the assembly line, but he certainly showed the world how to use it to produce vehicles more efficiently, to reduce the cost per unit dramatically so that they could produce vehicles for the people en masse, efficiently, cost effectively, making them affordable for everyone. But what's been going on in the industry for a long time, and it's partly market driven because people want every bell and whistle attached to the damn things. And you have all these regulations on them and a lot of different factors, right? But you got to work that crap out, because if he's quite right to text me and remind me that, a new truck, $150,000, and then people like, I can't afford it. Yeah, no kidding. Who can who can afford that? You need to make big freaking money, and that's not inflation. That's inefficiency. Where different factors built into the price of those vehicles. These vehicles coming out of China, man, they are producing them for the world. That's why they're so inexpensive. It's economies of scale. Produce them in huge factories and produce gazillions of them. Gazillions. And supply the world. Trump is taking the opposite position, protect the industry, put up tariff barriers to try to force. So if you want to sell in the United States, you basically have to build a factory there. But those factories are going to be supplying the United States, not the world, because they won't be able to produce those vehicles at a low enough price point that they'll sell anywhere else. They'll be too expensive. No other country is going to want them. You're not going to be exporting any of those American cars. So a lot of those plants are not going to be viable in the long run. So just give it time. You will see. It's folly. It's a fool's errand. Because if the rest of the world does what Canada is doing and they start partnering with China or other countries that are producing vehicles on massive scales, and they build mega plants here in Ontario, and you can produce a vehicle that even with tariffs, 100% tariff is still half the price of something produced at a factory over in Michigan. And they allow them into the market, like they might not allow them, but so what? We'll sell them to the rest of the world. That's the way the economy works, and that's why Trump is an economic moron. And that's why it's all going to fall apart in the long run. And when I mean the long run, I don't mean like decades. Like this will take just years. You'll see. The United States right now might be the richest country on earth, but as they contract, it's going to be, they'll be lucky to survive. And he's crashing the economy on purpose, I think, honestly, because they owe so much money, like $30 trillion. Can't hold it together, man. Now, if you're contracting, if you owe $30 trillion, you need to expand. That's why he's taking over countries. But even that's folly, because there's going to be pushback. Like I said last night, you just wait and see. Watch what happens when the ants rise up. Not here. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. Well, these policies, I've said for a long time, they will lead to violence. It's inevitable. It will lead to conflict because all these countries that he is taking, has his sights set on, that he wants to take over, they will try to survive. So conflict is inevitable. This president of peace is leading us into a third world war, which we're already in, but I mean, it's going to escalate to, I think, a kinetic state. In this bizarre, twisted, distorted, perverted version of America that is Trump 2.0, all you need to do is look at the circus online and Britney Spears, who has clearly lost her mind. This is America today. Trump's America on January 19th, 2026. Just look at that. Look at that. Bizarre behavior. Twisted. There's something manic and weird about it. Strange dance. Is it art or insanity? You can decide here as the Pentagon orders 1,500 soldiers to prepare for deployment to where? Oh, Minnesota. Hello, America.
Donald Trump to use the Insurrection Act to quell protests there. The Pentagon has ordered 1,500 active-duty soldiers to prepare for a possible deployment to Minnesota, two U.S. officials told Reuters on Sunday. That follows a threat by President Donald Trump to use the Insurrection Act to quell protests there against the government's deportation drive. The Army placed the units on prepare-to-deploy orders in case violence in the Midwestern state escalates, the officials said, though it
there
was
they
not
are
clear
invading
whether
Minnesota.
any of them would be sent. The soldiers subject to deployment specialize in cold weather operations, according to the officials.
Did they? Oh, yeah. Did they train for cold weather deployment with the Canadian forces? Did we teach them? Was that wise?
They're assigned to Army infantry battalions
great
under the
threat to
11th
Canada?
Airborne Division, based in Alaska, seen here in previously released Defense Department footage. The Pentagon and the White House did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests for comment on the order.
See, guys,
It was
you don't
first
want to come
reported
here.
by
It's
ABC
cold.
News.
Bad enough in
Trump
Minnesota.
on
It's worse
Thursday had
as you go
warned
further
Minnesota
north.
officials to stop protesters from targeting Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, agents.
Oh, it's such a peaceful
Otherwise,
nation,
he
isn't
said
it?
in a social
Living in
media
harmony.
post, quote, "I will institute the Insurrection Act."
The Insurrection Act? Okay, freedom people. Applaud on cue. Go ahead. You love it. You MAGA types. Yay, he's going to implement the Insurrection Act. What? No, don't use the Emergencies Act. That's evil. As he shoots people, or has his goons shoot people in the streets, you just shot him in the knees. It's okay. And in the face 3 times. Well, it's okay. He's a good guy. He's not a threat. He put Mark Carney on the Board of Peace. What the F is going on? Is any of this that I'm showing you tonight, does any of it seem normal in any way? Is this the before times? No. This is like it's ramping up and getting worse again. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger to freedom. Danger to freedom. My God. My God. What else have I got for you tonight? Let me see. We're going to get to Sandy Sunshine's thing in a minute. Please, Canadian military, as you are participating in the U.S. military NATO-style drills up in Greenland with the CF-18s, please do not do anything stupid. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. I think maybe. Back to what happened on the weekend, just so we can just further illustrate the bizarre total. This is the breakdown of American society on display in real time on social media. This is that what's his name, Jake? What's his nuts? With the he was the pro-ICE, anti-Islam demonstrator dude who got mobbed by the anti-ICE demonstrators.
Hey, don't hit him! Hey, motherfuckers! You know you'll let him inside. Watch out, people! Hey, don't hit him! Don't hit him!
I just got kicked in the head. That's nice. Everybody's nice to see everyone getting along. Let's join that. That's a great idea. So that we can post stuff like this guy, Ahmed Hassan, who says slow motion for a pig getting kicked in the face. So satisfaction, he says. I take no joy in that on either side. That's freaking insane. That is your country falling apart. But they're not going to stop. Yeah, they're not going to stop. There's one of the guys probably helping fuel it. I'm just coming across this now on the fly. Why the hell not? Let's bring him up. Alex Jones.
I've studied Trump in depth, watched his moves, retroactively studied him in his earlier life before I really started focusing on him about 10, 12 years ago. And he's not always playing 3D chess. He's not always outmaneuvering super mastermind stuff. But when it comes to business and geopolitics, when it comes to shaking up the old order, he is a savant. And the entire global corporate media is in absolute meltdown mode over his letter to NATO and to Denmark over Greenland that, well, since I didn't get my peace prize, I guess it's war then. But Trump isn't obsessed with the stupid Nobel Prize.
Yes, he is.
He's using that to beat the EU and NATO over the head that have refused to do a peace deal with Russia the last year and who have said they're going to keep fighting no matter what. And then Trump needs a way to get in NATO's face and to point out to the American people that we're in a confrontation with NATO as a pretext to pull out. Not, again, you don't want a pretext, we're getting out of NATO because you're holding us hostage with war with Russia. We're getting out of NATO because they are the new Soviet Union.
No. Getting out of NATO because Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Donald Trump have made a deal, a trilateral deal with the devil. to carve the world up into spheres of geopolitical dominance. And in so doing, they are on the path to destroying the sovereignty of all other nations. Because they don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in allowing the weaker nations to survive. They want to control it all. Tear it all down. Take it all over. They're on the path to creating the new world order with no other nation states, dissolving borders. Wait a minute. They're closing the borders so that they could keep all the illegal immigrants that we know. They're dissolving the borders to create blocks. Just one great big block. Why do you think he's trying to rename the Gulf of Mexico, which is the Gulf of Mexico? That's what it is. Your first act of resistance, peaceful resistance, political defiance, a way to continue to cling to reality in this age of conspiracy is to refuse to bend the knee to the manufactured reality and just accept reality for what it is. It has been, it's the Gulf of Mexico. Not anything else, not something different just because one guy with a Sharpie, with a huge overinflated ego, thinks he can just arbitrarily, unilaterally, through unitary executive power, just rename it. With no consultation, no vote, no respect. It's the Gulf of Mexico. Feel better when I say that. I feel better when I say that. Martin Luther King. Probably not one of Trump's favorite dudes. Did you know Sandy Sunshine called today? She said, Rick, it's MLK Day. And I said, what are you talking about? She says, it's Monday. I said, it's Monday? How did it get to be Monday? I lose track of the days, but I'm glad when she calls because she is so underestimated, like all of you out there in Maverick Land, all you individuals. So underestimated. When she calls, she brings words of wisdom that even she does not realize she carries. And today she said it's MLK Day. And I said, okay, cool. So I looked it up. And sure enough, it is the 19th of January. Now, strangely, I'm going to Fox News for this one. That's okay. I haven't watched the whole piece, but I'm drawing your attention to this being Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And it's MLK Day. And this is from Fox. This is Alberta C. King, PhD, honoring her uncle Martin Luther King Jr. by remembering the truth that shaped his life. As she is posting here on X, she says, we serve a perfect God by loving people. My uncle believed that helping somebody, anybody, was an act of obedience, humility, and faith. Loving God was never abstract. It was lived out through service, sacrifice, and compassion. And that legacy still calls us today. Love God by serving others. Here's the interview on Fox.
Today, we honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King is one of the most esteemed civil rights activists in our country's history, and he serves as an inspiration for all of us to be advocates of justice and peace. And joining us now is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece and Fox News contributor, Dr. Alveda King. Good morning to you, Dr. King.
Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. What does this day mean to you? He was such a legend. He was a legend to all of us, but to you, he was your uncle.
What we've seen in America, even as far back as Christmas now, and here we are in January celebrating my uncle's birthday, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I believe people are cautiously optimistic about many things and are remembering that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a servant. He loved God and he served humanity. And I think people know that. My friend Pat Boone, I don't know who've heard about Pat, but Pat wrote a song about him, and I have a song too, Let Freedom Ring. And what we're saying is this is a man who wasn't perfect, served a perfect God, and tried to help somebody. So that's the way I actually remember my uncle, someone who tried to help somebody.
That's right. That's right. I know the president has honored you with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. You also serve as the senior advisor on faith and community outreach for the USDA. What will you be doing to honor your uncle? He would have been 97 years old today.
Actually, what I'm doing is always acts of service. I'll be visiting a church, speaking there, and we have books for school children that I'm carrying, going to be delivered to school children. Also, I'm a farmer myself, and we're helping to get some collard greens placed with some people who need some good collard greens. So I'm serving, and I'm asking people to remember to be kind to someone today, to help somebody today. And I believe if my uncle were here, he would agree.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Don't judge somebody by the color of their skin. Judge them by the content of their character. All you people who want to deport everybody. That'll solve all our problems. Just get rid of all those people. Not going to change the politicians. That guy working over there at that donut shop, what a scuzzbag. He's the cause of all my problems. No, it could be the government policies. Just saying. Just saying. Ostrich mania. I almost forgot about this story. Somebody just texted me. Ostrich Farm loses again in court. This is actually me playing catch up. This was not from today. Just a little bit behind the curve on this. But somebody sent it to me and went, oh, yeah, I had to mention that. Thank you. I said, this tribunal is upholding the $10,000 fine against Universal Ostrich Farm, that controversial farm at the center of the controversial avian flu outbreak. Why is this being upheld? Because they didn't report the illnesses, which they are required to do, which I have pointed out as just part of our reporting on this, because it's the truth. They didn't care to report it. So Canadian Agricultural Review Tribunal has upheld a $10,000 fine against Universal Ostrich Farms for failing to report its avian flu outbreak, because they didn't. Even though they say they followed all the rules. No, they didn't. They admitted before that they didn't, but then they said they did, and they didn't. Everything over there is flip-flopping. Just like the politicians, the penalty was imposed by the CFIA after it said the farm violated its rules when avian influenza broke out of the farm in Edgewood in late 2024. It was not reported to the nearest veterinary inspector for nearly 3 weeks. Let me say that again. 3 weeks, despite the virus killing 69 birds in the flock. That's true. CFIA veterans only became aware of the outbreak after getting an anonymous call to the sick bird line on December 20th, 2024. H5N1, commonly referred to as avian flu, is a reportable disease because of the risk it poses to the health of both animals and humans. You might not like me telling you this, but this is the truth, and this is what happened, and I don't even have to take a stand on it one way or another. I'm just telling you that this is what happened. But some of you would rather have me lie just about the chronology of this thing. They didn't report it. That's a fact. You're not supposed to say that. Well, they didn't. You can't handle the truth, I guess. The battle between Universal and the CFIA became a media and social media sensation throughout 2025 as the farm's owners fought to overturn an order to kill the remaining flock of about 300 ostriches. Although there was, how many were there? I don't know. Gamifying it and how to chase the ostriches, count the ostriches online video game. After several failed appeals, the killing went ahead in November 2025. The birds were shot, with the CFIA calling it the most humane option. Yeah, some of those heads got blown just clean off. You can't handle the truth. I know. I'm sorry. It was humane because it was instant. The review panel's decision was made on December 11th, 2025. After multiple attempts to contact Universal's lawyers went unanswered in the weeks before the hearing. Media not getting a response from the farm's lawyers. It goes on and 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 on. And one study relied upon in the decision noted that young ostriches show symptoms of bird flu ranging from sleepiness, lack of coordination, and head and neck tremors to bloody feces and bright green urine. But adult ostriches do not exhibit any clinical signs if they are also infected, but they carry the disease. A CFIA veterinarian interviewed shortly after the outbreak was reported said the owners noticed that some of the birds had, this is from the owners, noticed that some of the birds had watery eyes, were staying away from the rest of the flock, were lethargic and depressed in the second week of December. But the owners told the vet that older birds were asymptomatic and that there was higher mortality among the birds under a year old. And then they claim that they didn't think they should have to report it because they didn't think it was bird flu. But they also say that they were told the court that they're experts with regard to ostriches. And so the court has ruled that these experts should have known, and I think they did, that the very symptoms that were being exhibited are classic symptoms of H5N1. But rather than report it, they just chose not to. It says here, Walensky's attempts to contact a veterinarian over the Christmas holidays were not a sufficient effort to find out if the farm had bird flu outbreak because the Health of Animals Act requires that a veterinary inspector be called. None of the vets that were called were qualified as inspectors. Also, the reporting is supposed to be immediate. Instead, the first call was made in the third week of December, weeks after the birds became sick. You got all these dead birds laying around and they haven't reported it. And then the ruling also went on to say that the size of the monetary penalty, $10,000, was calculated correctly, as that is the base amount for a very serious violation. Base amount. Could have been worse. And that the lack of reporting risked serious or widespread harm to human, animal, or plant health or the environment and the bird industry. And they also said that the reason that this fine stands is because they have a hotline set up, the sick bird line, but rather than phone that line, they decided to phone other vets who were not qualified to assess the birds in terms of the regulations. So, bottom line is they didn't report it. $10,000. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just pay 10 grand. That's the truth. I'm not taking a side, just telling you the facts. No, really, if you listen to what I just said, I'm not taking a side. I'm just telling you what happened. Okay? chill. The other people are taking a side. The people that got you all jacked up, they're the ones taking a side. I know you don't want to hear it. That's fine. Don't care. Because I only care about the truth. So let me just continue here. Let's take a little break. Going to come back. And yeah, a little more from Sandy Sunshine. This is the important one. Well, the other one was important too, but this one's important because this was a twofer from Sandy Sunshine on this January 19th, 2026.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay. So Sandy, I don't know, she's very nostalgic. And she said to me, she just blurted out, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I was like, oh, this was part of the Martin Luther King conversation. Oh, holy smokes, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Talk about retro all the way back to the 70s. That book. Do you know anything about Jonathan Livingston Seagull, folks? It's like it's often the distant recesses of my mind because it was so long ago. Do you know the story? 1970, this book comes out about this seagull. I was just a young whippersnapper. So in 1970, I would have been like 5 years old. 5. But when I went to elementary school, the book became an international sensation, an international bestseller around 1972, 73, without really even a lot of promotion behind it. Eventually, they made a movie. I think we watched that in school. And Neil Diamond recorded a song about it. So by 72, 73, very, very, famous book. And I was in elementary school. So I would have been probably in grade, 2? Probably grade 2, maybe grade 3. So the book is in the library at the school. Our school, by the way, elementary school, thank God, and I'm grateful for this every day, focused on reading and literacy. I didn't even know that until my kids went there when we were still living in London, Ontario. And in the front foyer, there is a plaque up that I never knew was there before. But I was there for an event with my kids because they were attending classes just for a short time before we moved out of the city again. And it talks about how the school's focus, that it was a public school, but focused on literacy skills. Anyway, so when I was a kid, there it is in the library, and we would go down there, and we'd have library days, and we'd go down, and I picked out this book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and it had a big crest on it because the book had won an award and stuff. And so there I was with this book, and I'd kind of forgotten a lot about it. Even now, as I sit here and I think about it, I read that book so many times, and I can't really remember all the ins and outs of the book. Okay. I'm going to reread it though. But Sandy was talking about, now, holy smokes, Sandy. I read that book when I was just a little kid. And then I thought, everything about that book has had such an impact on my life and the way that I view things. And you know what the word is? Individuality. So important to me. I've carried that my entire life. And I think that book has had a profound effect on me. And it has actually been the foundation for so much of what we do here on this channel together as a community. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, individuality, man. What was the book about? It was about a seagull who kind of went against the grain. You know, all the other seagulls, kind of like a Rudolph story, but he loved to fly. All the other seagulls, they were focused on eating. You know what seagulls eat mostly is garbage. Well, he thought there's got to be a higher purpose. Because he was a thinker, and he just loved to fly, just for the pure joy of it. He practiced loops and dives and high-speed glides until his wings ached. His parents begged him to be like the others. They said, "Why can't you leave low flying to the pelicans? Why don't you eat?" But Jonathan couldn't. He said, "I just want to know what I can do in the air. I just want to know." And the flock condemned him as a dangerous nonconformist and cast him out as an outcast. Alone, Jonathan flew on, higher, faster, freer, discovering wonders no gull had ever known. One night, 2 radiant seagulls appeared and carried him to a higher place, a realm where gulls flew for perfection, not survival. There, the wise elder, Chong, taught him the secret, saying, "Your whole body is nothing more than your thought in a form you can see. Break the chains of your thought, and you break the chains of your body too." Heaven, Chong said, isn't a place, it's being perfect. Jonathan learned to fly at the speed of thought, to be anywhere instantly. And Chong's final words stayed with him: keep working on love. Jonathan realized that his true purpose wasn't to stay in this perfect world, but to return and share what he had learned. And back on the beach, he found other outcasts, misfits. Young gulls like Fletcher Lynn, who were hungry to fly beyond the ordinary, and he taught them, saying, "You have the freedom to be yourself, your true self, here and now, and nothing can stand in your way. It is the law." As his students grew, the old flock watched in awe and fear. Jonathan's influence spread like wings across the sky. One day, his time on earth ended, and he faded into light, leaving Fletcher and the others to carry on the message that every gull is an unlimited idea of freedom, that the body is only thought, and that the greatest gift is to help others see the glory of what they truly are. And so Jonathan Livingston Seagull lives on, not in a place, but in every heart that dares to fly beyond the flock. Let me share. You have the freedom to be yourself, your true self, here and now, and nothing can stand in your way. It is the law. Here's one that will drive some people absolutely crazy. Love you guys. See you back here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side, all you individuals.
Drifting down without a sound, a gentle touch upon the ground. No two the same, yet side by side, like you and me in this great tide. Like a fingerprint from God, frozen tears from up above. Each one special, each one rare, a fleeting wonder light as air. Here for a moment, then melting away. Gone in the sunlight, lost in the day. Taken for granted, so easy to miss. Like life itself, so fragile is this. A million fall, yet each stands true. A perfect shape, a different hue. Just like us, no two alike. A spark of life, a soul in flight. Like a fingerprint from God, frozen tears from up above. Each one special, each one rare, a fleeting wonder light is air. Here for a moment, then melting away. Gone in the sunlight, lost in the day. Taken for granted, so easy to miss. Like life itself, so fragile is this. A million falling, yet each stands true. A perfect shape, a different hue. Just like us, no two alike. Like life itself, so fragile is this. Like you, like me, we shine, we fade. Yet every soul is beautifully made. A moment to love, a moment to stay. Before we drift, before we stray. Cherish the snowflakes, here only for a moment, then melt away.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.